about COVID itself. You know, we've been dealing with this for a year. I actually gave part of this talk a year ago, kind of teaching people about it and what it was and why it was important to stay, you know, important ways to stay safe. And
Hi, Dr. Ederer. It's
hi.
me, Andy.
Well, hi, Andy. How are you? Yep, some of you guys are on my talk before and, you know, asked some questions, and so some of this will be repeat, and a lot of it is new. We're talking a little bit about the COVID vaccine and the things that we've learned, but just kind of reiterating some of the things that are still important about masking and social distancing and things like that. So I always kind of start out a presentation. What are you supposed to learn from this? You know, what am I supposed to be getting from this talk? So a couple things. What can you do to prevent catching COVID-19? So this is kind of the talk from the before. What are the symptoms of COVID vaccine? What should I know about the COVID vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine? And lastly, should I get it or not? And some of you may have already gotten it, some of you are thinking about it, and I will talk about my experience and kind of ask you about yours. So next slide. This just talks a little bit about social distancing, and I really like the way that this pictures it, because sometimes you're like, what is 6 feet? And why is it 6 feet? So right now it's 6 feet. Their thought is that maybe they'll actually shorten it down to 3 feet soon, but right now it's 6 feet because when we talk, a little bits of bacteria kind of are spit out from our mouths, and when we cough and sneeze, it's also much further as well, which is helped by wearing a mask, which is why we're masking. But these are just some pictures. So 1 cow away, 2 shopping carts away, 1 kayak away. I don't fish, so the walleye thing is I don't quite understand, but pizzas, I definitely know pizzas. 5 pizzas away, I can visualize that. So this is just to kind of help you visualize how far 6 feet is. So one of the things that we also do with COVID is that if you kind of cough or sneeze on your hand, you can then transfer that bacteria to somebody else. So these are all great things that we really miss, right? We miss hugging and high-fiving and shaking hands, but we're not doing those anymore. So the next slide kind of talks about, well, what can we do instead, right? We see somebody and they did a good job, or we want to say hi, what can we do? So I'm kind of a big fan of the elbow bump, right? Somebody comes in and they've lost 20 pounds, which is a huge deal, especially during COVID. Everybody's gaining weight during COVID because we're not participating in Special Olympics and we're just inside all the time and we're eating more. So somebody lose weight, I say, good job, and I give them the elbow bump. But, you know, waving and kind of smiling behind your mask is always important. So next slide. This is just a quick reminder about cleaning. We talk about cleaning the hands, and this is kind of disinfecting and the things that we worry about. So you go to you stop at a convenience station, like a gas station, and you go in to use the bathroom, you come out and you wash your hands, but then you touch the door to get out of the convenience station. There can be germs on that. You turn off the light switch. That's something that people kind of touch all the time. It can have germs on it. So this is just kind of a reminder of phones and remotes and hard surfaces and desks and keyboards and things like that. That should be wiped off. That bacteria can stay on. And then phones, super dirty, but somebody says that they're dirtier than a toilet seat, and I don't know that statistic. It's probably true, but you should actually wipe those off with alcohol-based rather than Clorox-based cleaners. Next slide. At the beginning of COVID, I would sit in meetings and kind of count how many times people touched their face. And if I look kind of at the pictures right now, I can see several people touching their face. You you're talking and you're moving your hair out of your face and you kind of rub your nose and do all these things. So people actually touch their face 20 times a day. When you have the mask on, it helps to remind you because you touch the mask instead of you, but just a nice reminder that there's germs on your hands. And when you touch your face, you transfer those germs from the light switch to your hand. And if you don't wash your hands, you then transfer it to your face. This is the just kind of a reminder about washing your hands. And I can see you guys on the side. So we're going to actually do a little show and tell, or a little pretend. So when you wash your hands, you turn on the water, you get them wet. You got to use your soap. So, put a little soap on your hand here. I've got candy cane soap. And then you're going to wash. You're going to rub your hands all over. You got to get them in between the creases on both hands. Get in your thumbs. Get on the back of your hands. And you're going to sing the ABCs. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. So now you're going to rinse them off. Now I know my ABCs. And you're going to dry. And then you use the towel to turn off the handle because you used your dirty hands to turn it on. And now that's dirty and you're going to get the germs right on your hand. So you use the towel to turn it off. Next slide.
So you watch TV?
I can just watch TV with Rosebud.
She's watching stuff I don't want.
This is just a quick slide about wearing a mask, and there's lots of questions now about people, well, once I get vaccinated, do I have to wear a mask? Or people who have actually had COVID already and they think they can't get it again, do they need to wear a mask? And the answer is yes. So you can't get sick, but you can still, transfer the virus to somebody else. So you touch a light switch, you touch your face, you get it. You're not going to get sick, but you can still kind of transfer the virus onto somebody else. So important for you to still wear a mask until 75% is what they're asking of people to get immunized. So the good news is that about 75% of the highest risk population has been immunized now, or the people over the age of 65. And about 30% of, at least people in our area, but I think that extends to most of Wisconsin, 30% of Wisconsinites have been immunized. So we're starting, but still important for everyone to really stay safe. And this mask shows that if somebody is sick and you're wearing a mask, you can still get sick. But if you are sick and wear a mask, there's less of a chance to pass it on. So if any of you guys are here in SOC, we have a saying, we, not me. So we are wearing masks to protect other people. I am not wearing a mask to protect myself. And this, everybody probably knows by now, so they know what the symptoms are to watch for. And a lot of these symptoms are similar to a cold. A lot of people say that, but to be completely honest, because of all of the good steps that we are taking, not very many people have gotten colds or the flu this year. I knock on wood, have not diagnosed anyone with the actual flu. Everyone that we've seen has been COVID. So cough, shortness of breath, and chest tightness. I would say that a chest tightness is pretty specific to COVID, as well as anyone who comes in and says that they've lost the taste or smell is almost always COVID. Some people can have kind of runny nose with allergies, but the loss of taste or smell is almost 100% COVID related.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So, with the shortness of breath, do they really count that as COVID, or is that just like a cold flu symptom?
So,
That's difficult.
so a lot of these symptoms can be both, which is why we ask people to come in and get tested, because we know how badly people respond to this and how sick they get. So we want you to come in and get tested so that we can tell you to stay home and not infect other people. I will say that some people have come in with symptoms, sore throat, headache, and they have not had COVID. And actually, COVID seems to really be divided into two categories in my own personal experience. There is the kind of neck up symptoms. So this is loss of taste or smell, headache, and nasal congestion and a sore throat. And then there is kind of neck down symptoms, and that's shortness of breath, cough, chest tightness, the diarrhea and nausea. The people who are neck down symptoms seem to be
Yep.
thicker.
I was just asking in general. Sorry.
That's okay.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Is the COVID vaccine gonna be replacing the flu shot for next year?
No, they are actually two separate viruses. So influenza and a coronavirus, the shots don't go together, so you do need to get both. But I will say that if your immune system is down with one, you're certainly a lot more likely to get the other one. But if we continue to do the good things and the good measures that we learned, hopefully, I hope that masks continue, and maybe not for everyone, but I don't want it to, like, somebody has a little bit of a sniffle, I would want them to wear a mask, and I don't want it to be kind of shameful for someone to come into the gas station and have a mask on if they don't feel well. If they don't feel well, I want them to put on a mask to protect me. So hopefully that will be something that that continues.
Yeah, but I hope that this mask mandate, I know a lot of people are sick and tired of the mandates and stuff, which I don't blame them. Some people are asthma and some of them don't. But my question is this, will Special Olympics be permanently making people wear masks at events, even if it's outside? Or that's not your question, probably.
Right, that's a little bit above my scope. I'm not making rules. I do think that outside the CDC has loosened up those recommendations. But
well, with more vaccines being out there and more people getting vaccinated, I got both of mine from Pfizer or whatever, and with more people being, I think they're talking about something about herd immunity. I read, and something that the more people that are vaccinated, or the more people have had COVID that have survived it, they could achieve it now. Something like they lowered the restriction of distancing and stuff. So they're thinking maybe by the end of the summer that things will get back to normal.
Right, what's normal? I think that's, we'll see what our new normal is.
I was just going to say, Peter, those are a lot of really good questions. As far as Special Olympics Wisconsin is concerned, we're still keeping a lot of our same protocols for now. Things could definitely change depending on what happens, but we're keeping all of our protocols, and maybe we'll have more of an open Q&A at the end. But I think Dr. Leah is going to get to a lot of these questions throughout the presentation.
So this is just another kind of picture representation of what makes the COVID-19 different from the flu or the cold. And they mentioned breathlessness. This picture was actually before we knew about the change in taste or smell, which I would say is also a big one that is COVID as well. The flu, I would say, usually is significant coughing and fever that onsets within 24 hours, which COVID sometimes it hits that fast, but oftentimes it's just a little bit slower, usually 2 or 3 days. Next slide.
Leah, Clara has a question.
Oh, Claire, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. Okay, the question is it's called a habit. Okay, the habit that you wear on your face. Some people has a bad habit of itching their nose, wearing a mask.
That is true. That's one of the reasons that people touch their face 20 times. And I hope nobody's counting me, because you're going to tell me at the end I touched my face 15 times in the hour I gave this talk. So this slide is, I'm actually working with another group as far as transitioning and going to the doctors and things that everybody needs to be aware of when they go to a doctor's appointment. And this is just kind of a reminder of that. Whenever you go to any doctor's appointment, whether it's for COVID or for your diabetes or for a physical, you should have a list of medications. I love it when people come in with a list of questions, because, you know, sometimes people get nervous when they're there, and oftentimes I'm late, so I'm kind of in a rush. But I like it when people have questions, because I want to be able to answer all of their questions and have them feel that, you know, we didn't leave anything on the table. So a list of questions, a list of your medications. And then there is the Special Olympics About Me form, which I think is the next slide, just to remind you, if no one has seen it, what it kind of looks like. So this, the one on the left kind of shows specific COVID symptoms, and then the one on the right just talks about the About Me form. You know, how's the best way to communicate with me? You know, I like pictures, or it's easier for you to write it down. You know, please, you know, if I have trouble understanding, you can talk to this person, or don't talk to this person. I like the way that this form is set up. This is something that Special Olympics had put out about what to expect when coming in for COVID testing specifically. And I still liked the concept of it, is that, you know, we're going to look different when you come in. We're going to have face shields, we're going to have masks. Sometimes we are actually still seeing patients outside if they have any symptoms. If people don't have any COVID symptoms, we see them in the building. If you are nervous or you have any questions, you know, always bring them up. We're testing people in the nose. We don't need to go as far back as we used to, so it's not as uncomfortable. I used to get a really bad rap. People were not happy with it, but it's not as bad now. And they're even having kind of the rapid test, which you get the results back in 15 minutes, which is nice. So this is a picture of me and one of the people I work with. Her name is Riley. And then just a picture of a doctor or a provider giving someone a test on the other side. If you test positive for COVID-19, what happens? So one, we ask you to stay home. We don't want you to, you know, oh, hey, mom, I'm just going to stop by. Guess what? The doctor said that I have COVID and now you infect your mom. We want you to stay home, you know, have somebody drop off meals if you need to. If you have trouble breathing, you know, we might ask you, or we'll ask you to go to the hospital. But essentially, we don't want you to be like, oh, I need Tylenol, I'm going to stop at the pharmacy, and then, you know, risk infecting other people at the pharmacy. So kind of the next part, so we talked about COVID, we talked about symptoms of it, we talked about how to get tested of it, and now we're moving on to the new phase. So everybody kind of understands COVID, and this is the ways, one of the ways that we have to fight it, besides the social distancing and things like that. The next step is the vaccine. And I know that there was a lot of controversy about it coming out, you know, gosh, it actually came out really fast. And what does that mean? So it does seemed like this came out really fast. So, you know, rabies vaccine was in development for a super long time. But this vaccine has actually, the coronavirus has been a problem for a really long time, even in the vet population. So when pigs get coronavirus, they actually get diarrhea, and birds can get the coronavirus. So vets have been actually working on a vaccine for this for a long time. And then when the coronavirus became as big as it was, a lot of money was sent in this direction. So not only were just a handful of people working on the virus, but now literally almost the entire world was trying to find a vaccine. So they were able to build on a lot of these steps that were already created for this type of virus that have already been done. So it may have seemed like it happened really fast, but this concept had been working on for many years. I'm just going to kind of read this one slide. Just this is the official kind of statement of Special Olympics. Special Olympics is supporting, Special Olympics encourages everyone who has access to the COVID vaccine to get vaccinated. The vaccine will help protect you from getting COVID-19, and studies show that COVID-19 vaccines are very effective at keeping you from getting COVID-19. By getting vaccinated, you may also help protect the people around you, the people that you love. So kids right now under the age of 17 cannot get the vaccine. So you getting the vaccine will help protect younger neighbors or younger brothers and sisters if you have them. So right now, there are 3 different vaccines out there. So there are the Pfizer and Moderna ones that have been out since December, and then the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that came out more recently. So Brittany, I didn't ask, are we doing the videos, or do you just want me to kind of talk about what the videos show?
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Either way.
I was going to ask you a question about the Johnson & Johnson. I read that there's about people that have died from it, that have had clots and stuff, and they're pulling off the market for a short time. Is there any truth to that?
So there is truth. So 6 people out of 6.8 million have developed a blood clot, and this is kind of a blood clot in the brain. So we're asking people with headaches or things like that to come in. But if you think about it, on the other hand, if you were to get COVID, there is a almost 17% chance that you will get a blood clot if you get COVID, as opposed to a 1 in a million chance of getting a blood clot with getting the vaccine. I have never won the lottery, and my chances of winning the lottery are better than 1 in a million. So I think that the risk of getting a blood clot, excuse me, with getting the vaccine is so very rare that I know the risks of COVID. I have seen people with COVID. I've seen people die with COVID, and it certainly, any of the vaccines outweigh the risks, in my opinion.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Claire, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, because I have a question. Okay, apparently I'm the auntie, and my question is, I have nieces and nephews in my family. I don't know if they have been. I am the auntie of my family people, but I have nieces and nephews, but I don't know if they got the vaccine shots yet.
So if they are still in school, if they're still young enough to be in school, they probably haven't, because it hasn't been approved. As of right now, it seems that we'll call it the old COVID. So the old COVID doesn't seem to infect kids as much. So that was a disease that really affected people over the age of 65, or affected everyone, but those are the highest risk of having complications from it. I would say the new COVID, there's a new strain. So life always finds a way, right? So life is always changing, or things are always changing so that they survive. So the COVID virus has actually changed a little bit. And now this new change one, although the vaccines still seem to be working, it seems to affect kids more. So Pfizer is rushing to approve this in younger ages. So it's kind of a race against the mutant strain to see if we can get people vaccinated before it starts infecting people again.
Okay.
The question for me is, this is Michael, tomorrow you will be in baseball and I'm gonna do a COVID-19 test. Because we had a game on Tuesday, all the team managers need to do a team COVID-19 test. Do you know why the NCAA making us manager combined with the team do an NCAA test for COVID-19? Do you know why we're doing that for?
So if you're part of a team, you're going to be going in this group of a lot of people, and they're going to be, exercising and working out, and they're going to be breathing hard, and they're an increased risk of sharing your germs with the rest of the group. So they want to say, at least, before you go in, we know that you don't have COVID, or we've done everything that we can to know that you are safe to go and be with this group of people. So it's kind of the we, not me concept that we're talking about. Like, I think that I'm safe, but I'm going to go in with 50 other people that are my friends. And if I can know for sure that I am safe, I want to do that to protect the other people.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I have my COVID-19 vaccine ready, so that means I still need to do that test or wait for me to do it.
So you say that after the test, you're going to get your COVID vaccine?
I did ready. I did that ready.
Very good. Very good.
So that means I need to do the test too. So I need to do it too. So I had to do it because I had my 2 shots ready.
Well, your risk of having COVID if you had both shots is 5%. So, okay. But I have seen it. So if there is another level of protection that we can do, I'm all for it. In reality, you are probably fine because you've had your 2 vaccines, but we can't know that everybody's had their vaccines, and sometimes people would say that and not be telling the truth. So having everybody get tested is keeps everything even, and even the people that don't have their vaccines will be tested as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you want me to play the videos, or do you want to just talk about them?
Why don't you play the videos? I think I like the Pfizer one. The other one is the Johnson & Johnson one isn't as good, but
just gonna stop sharing for a second so I can make sure I have the sound. So 1 second.
Hi, everyone.
The first 2 vaccines approved to combat COVID-19 are the first medicines of any kind based on mRNA. Conventional vaccines contain dead or inactive virus particles, but mRNA vaccines work differently. mRNA is a bit like an instruction manual. Virtually all the cells in our body use mRNA to build proteins. In the new COVID-19 vaccines, mRNA carries instructions for building a copy of the spike protein, the part of the virus that attaches to our cells. By itself, the spike protein is harmless, but it trains the immune system to fight the actual virus. But mRNA is fragile and breaks down quickly. To protect the mRNA long enough for it to reach a cell, scientists wrapped it in a protective bubble called a lipid nanoparticle.
RNA is very susceptible to being digested by enzymes called RNases. And so the lipid nanoparticles protect the RNA and help deliver the RNA to the inside of cells. If RNA is lying around outside of cells, it won't get turned into a protein.
Because mRNA breaks down at room temperature, the vaccines need to be kept extremely cold. These new COVID-19 vaccines represent the culmination of decades of research into mRNA medicines. mRNA-based drugs have potential well beyond this virus. They are now being developed and tested to treat a wide range of diseases.
So I really like that because it talks a little bit about, well, one, it shows that the only thing that this virus can do, or that this vaccine can do, is make a spike protein, and it's not the actual virus itself. So people can't get COVID from it. The second thing that it does is it shows why these vaccines are more difficult to get than some of the others. So one of the really difficult things for us as people that were giving the vaccines was, how are we going to get the vaccine and how are we going to give it out? Because these vaccines have to be kept super cold. So you can't put them in a regular refrigerator. You need a special refrigerator or dry ice. And you have to change the dry ice twice a day. And you have to give them all out within 72 hours. So we would get the vaccine, and then we would have to call people to come in to give it, and then we would have to give it. So they're also not distributing a bunch out. So every week they will tell us how many vaccines we will get. We asked for 500 and we get 60. So a lot of people are disappointed. And I don't know if any of you have been on waiting lists, but people are on waiting lists for a really long time, and they feel like they won the lottery when they are able to go in and get their vaccine, because there's so few out there. And that kind of has to do with how stable it is, or unstable it is really in transport and how to get it to people.
Can I ask what mRNA stands for in that video? That didn't make any sense.
So you can think of mRNA as just a name. So it means messenger ribonucleic acid. It's actually just a part of the cell. So
Nucleic acid?
right. So does anybody know what DNA is? So this is a kind of the building block. We call it the building block of the cell, but that is where all of the information is that tells your body how to work. And messenger RNA is kind of a part of DNA. It takes that that message from the DNA and transports it to the parts of the cell for them to do what they need to do. So you can think of it as you're building a house, and the blueprint is in the office, and then there's the person who takes that instruction manual and walks it over to the people at the construction site and says, here, we want you to build this. And the person who carries it is the messenger RNA, and that is what the mRNA is. That's what the vaccine is. It's just the person who says, here, this is what you're supposed to be doing, and then that person gets fired. Then they're done. They don't work there anymore, but they've delivered their message.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sure.
We now have 3 vaccines authorized for emergency use. 2 of them, the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine, are both messenger RNA vaccines. And then we now have a third one from Janssen, also the Johnson & Johnson company, which is a different format. It is an adenovirus vector.
I chose Moderna.
Vaccines are not really new. We have already used them for things like the Ebola vaccine. An adenovirus vaccine is a virus that has been altered so that it can't make you sick, it can't replicate, And it has a special bit of genetic code that has been inserted into it that in this case causes your body to make the spike protein. There are the typical side effects that we see from all vaccines. The injection site can be red, it can be sore. You can have a little fever for 1 to 2 days after. You can feel muscle aches and you can feel tired and a little headache. That's really it. And the nice thing about it is that because it's only one dose, the amount of side effects that people have and their severity is very, very small. When we take a second dose of the same vaccine, we tend to have more of an immune reaction and more side effects. But actually get fewer side effects cumulatively over the series with this J&J vaccine because it's only one dose. What people should know about this is that it is a very effective vaccine. We already had 2 highly effective vaccines on the market, so people try to compare them, but you really can't compare them. They were studied in different places at different times, and the J&J vaccine was studied in places where there were a lot of the new variant strains coming out, but it still showed very high effectiveness, 85%, at preventing severe COVID, and there were no deaths in the vaccine group who received the real vaccine. And that's just phenomenal. People really should take whichever vaccine is available to them. They are all really highly effective. The upside of the J&J vaccine is it's only one dose. You need to wait 2 weeks to get the full benefit of the vaccine. Even then, we still have COVID circulating in the community. We don't have widespread immunity yet, so we do still need to practice our masking and social distancing for now.
So I liked that video because it talked a little bit about the side effects and what to expect and the importance of really continuing to practice these safe social distancing and masking.
So I got both of my shots, and I was just wondering. Sorry to interrupt your presentation, but so when I got both of my shots, the second dose of the visor, I had a little bit of a sore arm. Is that one of the side effects to it?
Yeah. So this is actually with any vaccine. So right, it's a needle that goes into your arm. So there can be a little bit of soreness around where they put the needle in. And then what they do is they actually push fluid into a place that's not supposed to be. So the rest of your body's like, get away. So it can create a little bit of discomfort actually at the injection site or where it is. What we are trying to do with the vaccine is make your immune system wake up and notice the virus. Any vaccine essentially is supposed to wake up and notice the virus when it comes into your body so that it can fight it before it becomes a problem. So we want your immune system to start doing things. We want it to make cytokines. We want it to make these soldiers so that they can fight the good fight. And what that does is it can, your immune system waking up is some of the symptoms that you have when you have a cold. Not all of them, but it can make you feel tired. It can give you some weakness. It can cause a little bit of a low-grade fever. And these are the side effects that you experience. These are the same side effects you experience if you get the tetanus shot. Some people say, I don't want the flu shot because it makes me sick. It doesn't, but it does, wake up your immune system. So that's kind of my soapbox as far as that goes, that you may have, it doesn't make you sick, but you may have these symptoms, but they're good. You don't want to mask them. This is your immune system doing what it's supposed to do.
Thank you for the clarification.
Sure. So this just says, we kind of talked about this. So it takes 2 weeks to develop immunity, and that's 2 weeks after. So I think if I can remember the statistics, I think you're 70% protected after your 2 weeks after your first shot, and then 90%, 95% protected 2 weeks after your second shot. So there is some immunity after your first, but it's really important to kind of wait, or you have better immunity after your second. So if you say, gosh, I haven't visited, my auntie in 13 months, and I really want to do that, and I got my first shot 3 days ago, I'm going to go. I encourage you just to stick it out until you're 2 weeks after your second shot. Next.
Leah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have another hand raised.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm not sure who has his hand raised. Can you unmute?
That's Peter.
I
Go
got
ahead.
it right here. I was going to ask you a question.
Sure.
So how long does this immunity thing last? How long are they good for the COVID shots? Are they a year, 6 months? I've heard different things, and I heard
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question, and I'm not sure that we know yet. We're going to have to kind of test people's immunity as they go out and find out what percentage of them have lost their immunity, and then kind of base it off of that. If 50% of people have lost their immunity at 6 months, then we probably have to re-immunize. But if 90% of people still have their immunity at 6 months, then we might not have to. So the research right now is 6 months because that's how long they tested it before they let it come out. But it may extend more than that because like some of the people that actually had COVID and are donating their antibodies, like going to get their to donate blood to help protect people, their immunity is staying even longer than we thought it did before. So hopefully the immunity will stay longer, but nobody knows that for sure right now.
Do you think they'll ever have it figured out? Do you think they'll ever have it figured out?
Eventually. There's way smarter people than me working on this, so I got to trust them.
Okay.
Oh, Nora, up all night. Oh, boy.
So this is Special Olympics information on the COVID vaccine. So I'm just going to read this to you. So the COVID vaccine protects you from COVID vaccine, but the vaccine works in your body with your body's natural defenses so that it'll be ready to fight the virus. Like I said, so it helps activate and get the soldiers ready to fight the infection when it comes in. There are currently 3 vaccines, and all 3 will work. We do encourage people to get the one that they can, and I encourage you to put your name on 6 lists if you have the opportunity to do 6 lists. If you are driving by Walgreens and somebody's standing outside with a sign that says COVID vaccines here, run, go in. I encourage you to get it however you can. And like we said before, you cannot contract COVID-19 from the vaccine because I am not the builder, I am not the lumber, I'm just the person who carries the instruction manual from the office to the construction site. So some vaccines are only 1 injection. That is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The others are 2, which is the Moderna and the Pfizer. If your vaccines require 2 doses, you need to get the second shot 3 to 4 weeks later. Now, the person who administers that usually sets up that follow-up vaccine at the same time. You cannot get the COVID vaccine within 2 weeks of getting another vaccine. So, I just went to my doctor and they gave me the HPV shot. 2 days later, I'm going to get the COVID shot. We don't want you to do that because we want your immune system to be ready to make COVID virus and not busy making protection against the HPV vaccine or the tetanus shot or any other vaccine. So after you get the vaccine, you may have some swelling or soreness in your arm. To reduce the pain, you can just put ice over that area. Ice reduces swelling. And you can take some Tylenol, ibuprofen if you want, although that is going to blunt the immune system. After the vaccine, you may feel tired, have some muscle aches. When I got my vaccine, I went to bed early that night. I think I was in bed already. What time is it? Almost 8 o'clock. I would have been asleep already. And that's fine. I had a great night's sleep. Next slide. So this kind of talks about why it's important for you guys to consider getting the vaccine. So It was important for me to get the vaccine because I see patients every day and I am exposed to people with COVID, and then I see other people, and I did not want to be somebody who passed it on to other people. You know, some people get sicker than other people with the COVID vaccine. My daughter has asthma. She would do really poorly if she were to get the COVID. We have not, which is great. There are studies that show that people with intellectual disabilities are at a much higher rate of getting really, really sick if they get COVID. There are some people, so this kind of talks about the statistics. So the people with intellectual disabilities have a 3 times higher mortality rate, which means that you die 3 times faster than somebody else. People with Down syndrome tend to be hospitalized 5 times more than kind of other people in the community. And then because a lot of people with intellectual disabilities have other medical problems, high blood pressure and a high BMI, or tend to be a little bit overweight, or diabetes, that increases your risks as well. This is actually kind of says the same thing as well, but people with ID are at higher risk of getting and dying of COVID than the general population. The vaccine helps reduce the risk of serious death and disease. By getting the vaccinated, you can also help protect the people around you. Clara, you're protecting your nieces and nephews, and you guys are protecting your teammates. And Michael, you're protecting, you know, the other people on your, you know, the NCAA team that you're working with UW for.
So am I protecting my people that I live with if I've had both of the doses?
Yes. So you will not be somebody who, you know, I was out and at a practice and I got sick and then I brought it home, and you know the other 2 people that live with didn't go to practice, they stayed home, and then I brought it to them. That is not something that we want. We want you to be safe, right? So we talked about this as well. So get the vaccine wherever you can. There are limited doses because it breaks down really easily, and you know everybody wants it, so we have to share it amongst everybody. This next week there's not going to be very many doses, but we're hoping in May that the amount of doses picks up again. So be patient with us. We are really trying to get the people who need to be vaccinated vaccinated. So doctor's office, clinics, hospitals, pharmacies. I know there are some ambulance garages in town, public health departments. The Alliant Energy Center is having a big vaccination clinic. So wherever you can get it, I recommend. So I know it's getting towards the end of the hour. The next kind of set of slides does talk about ways that you can stay safe and healthy as far as getting enough sleep and being in the right state of mind. So I think I'm going to actually hold on these, or I'll actually have Brittany kind of fast forward them really quick, because I know that there's a question at the end that I want to get to, and then see if anybody else has other questions.
I can stop sharing for now, and then maybe, I think I'm frozen here. There we go.
Did you have the poll question, Brittany?
I do. Get that
So while Brittany is pulling that up, does anybody have any questions for me that we didn't talk about during the presentation?
Yeah, I had both vaccines, so I'm good. I was gonna ask you the vaccine, now that.
I'm still me, Doctor.
What's that?
Go ahead, Peter. Andrew, let's take our turn, okay? Peter's turn right now.
Okay. Okay, I was gonna ask you the question, the vaccine that I had. I didn't have any problems with it. I just had maybe a little stiffness for me about the first hour or so, and then it went away. So that's a good thing. And they also said that's a sign that the vaccine's working.
Yes. So I will say after my first vaccine, I did have a little arm soreness. And after my
I
second
switched
vaccine,
arms.
like I said, I went to bed early. But then the day after that, I felt fine. And, it affects everybody differently. So if you do great, that's great. If you, have a little bit of a fever, that doesn't mean that that's a bad vaccine. That just means that your body's doing what it's supposed to.
Yeah, well, when I got mine, I switched arms. I didn't have it on the same arm. I had it on a different one because I figured that might help it a little better. Because someone told me it's a little trick that people have used. If they get the second vaccine, they don't have the second one in the same place. And some people go by if they're right or left-handed, but I didn't go by that. I figured, well, I'll put it in the next arm and see what happens. So that's what I did. And it worked.
Good.
Thank you.
We're still waiting on a couple people to vote, so how about maybe 15 more seconds? Jake, did you have your hand up? Do you want to ask a question? Got to unmute.
Wow. In my past experience, the first shot I got from the Moderna, I had an allergic reaction to that.
Well, I am super glad that you got immunized. I will say, and I should have said this before, that as a doctor, there is no reason that I would tell you not to get immunized. If people had a reaction to a tetanus vaccine, if you had a reaction to another vaccine, if you're allergic to eggs, these are totally different vaccines. So there is no reason why I would tell you not to do it. So, having a reaction, allergic reaction, can you tell me what you experienced? Did it get better with some Benadryl? Are you going to do the second vaccine?
I got like a red rash on my calf muscles and my elbows.
Okay. So I mean,
like
you need to hives. So what did your doctor tell you about finishing the series? Did they say to go ahead and take some Benadryl beforehand, or did they say no?
They said go ahead and take Benadryl. Sometimes Benadryl doesn't help.
Sometimes switching arms like I did might work too. If you haven't had your second one, switch arms if you can. I did that and it worked. So.
Well, Brittany has the results up here, and I am super excited to see that so many people have already gotten at least one of their doses, and that another 25% are looking to do it as soon as they can. So that's really wonderful, and it just shows how well we as a society are doing at getting the vaccine out there. So that's almost 80% of people getting or wanting to get the vaccine, or almost 90% actually.
Sarah, did you have another question?
Yeah, I got my 2 COVID shots already. So I had 2 COVID shots on my right shoulder.
Awesome. Good job.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Jennifer, I saw you had your hand up. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, when this thing is done. When this is, see, cold virus get done.
She wants to know when this whole thing's gonna be done.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that question. And I wouldn't have predicted, honestly, Christmas 2019. I would not have thought that this was going to happen. But I think that a lot of difficult things have come out of COVID, but I think a lot of good things have come too, right? We are able to have this wonderful Zoom meeting where people all over are able to kind of come together and listen on a Wednesday night. People are able to work from home. People have been able to spend a lot more time, together with the people that they live with. I think that something else, once this is, see, I just touched my face again. I think once this is done per se, I think coronavirus is still going to be out there, but I think that there will be some herd immunity, and I'm really proud of everyone, everyone on this call and everyone in general for embracing the vaccine. I think there will be something new that is going to come along, but I think that we're going to be better prepared for it than we were this time last March.
Teresa, you have a question? Oh, can you unmute him?
Yeah. I have a doctor. My aunt is a doctor. You're my hero. That's number one. Number two, I am looking at cousins and Target. I'm really dangerous. I'm looking at a lot of people at Target and cousin sub. And I have my grocery shirts already.
Awesome.
Now you know that my aunt is the doctor. That's how you feel going to the hospital. You're my hero, definitely 100%.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're my hero too.
All right. So I don't want to cut anybody off, but it is after 8 o'clock. Does anybody have any other questions? I don't want to keep you any longer, but I'm happy to stay, and I will stay if anybody has any more questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Leah.
Well, thank you everybody for sticking with me and listening. Go get your shots.
Already been there.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you,
Hey,
guys.
good night.
Nice to see you all. Can't wait to see you in person.